Welcome to this simple sequence to help relieve back pain, build core strength, and release the hips. We'll start with our breathing techniques. So bring your hands onto the rib cage. We're just going to focus our attention with eyes closed on feeling how the rib cage expands outwards and settles inwards with each breath. As we practice this, aiming to enlarge the ribs further with each inhale and soften them deeper back inwards on each exhale. As we get used to this breath, our intention is to keep the same depth and awareness of breathing throughout any physical postures that we move on to during this sequence. So set your breath rhythm and focus your mind on being fully present with your breath and your body. As we start to move into position for the first stretch of today, we're going to make sure our back is nice and long on the floor, no space between the lower back and the floor. And then you can take your left ankle up over your right knee as we come into a glute stretch for the left side. So you can either stay here with your right foot on the floor and gently press against the left knee, or you could take your hand around the back of the right thigh and draw inwards until you reach around about a 7 out of 10 stretch on that left side. Returning to the focused breath that we practiced before and feeling the expansion in your ribs, expansion in your belly. If the stretch starts to ease off, you can go deeper by holding around the shin of the right leg, but there's no pressure to move deeper. It's all about feeling the expansion of your breath and your body wherever is about that 7 out of 10 range. So continue to think about opening on your inhales just like your rib cage did, and softening on your exhales. Translating that feeling into the muscle fibers and the tissue in the left thigh. So we'll release the feet now and just take a moment to settle the hips. Tune into how it feels on the left side compared to the right now that we've done that stretch. And then we'll take the right foot over for the same thing on the other side. So again, choose your difficulty level or your hand position according to where you can get a 7 out of 10 stretch, and also whilst keeping your shoulders down on the mat. So you've got the option to even keep the left foot on the floor here. Come into your breath as soon as you're able and visualize that expansion and release that's happening in your rib cage, carrying through and enabling release in the hips and in the right leg. Just play around with the positioning of your left knee if you feel like the stretch starts to ease off a little bit. So you can move that knee outwards slightly to get a new sensation. And you also have the option to gently press against the right knee. Just make sure that both hips stay on the ground. It's just an exploration of your own body. There's no right or wrong, and each day you might explore different versions of this pose. And then take a moment to settle into your hips and feel the difference between the two sides. And then we'll start to get ready for the next pose, and you'll need your strap for this one. So grabbing hold of your strap, bring yourself back down onto the mat, making sure your back is nice and long, and you're going to need a loop in the strap to go around your right foot, aiming to get this over the ball of the foot, preferably not directly on the arch. Your left foot will stay on the mat if you like, and you want your hips to stay nice and level. So it's not about getting your right foot as high as you can. You can take this foot out as far as you need to in order that your right leg can be straight. And I want you to think about pressing out through the heel, your inhale, and as you exhale, perhaps you're able to bring that foot closer towards you. As it eases off, maybe you're able to lengthen the left leg away. But again, it's not about doing the same stretch every time. It's just seeing where your body is at today exploring what you need to find some space in the tissue, in the joints, using your breath to help you deepen, to help you get there. So inhales are lengthening, spreading the toes, and exhales we use the strap to draw that leg inwards, all the while maintaining a nice length in the back of the leg. The higher up you hold the strap, the less effort it is in the arms, and ideally we want your arms and your shoulders to be as relaxed as possible so that we're really allowing the breath and the hamstrings to be your main focus. Let's take one more breath here and then unhook the strap, lengthen the leg away. Just take a moment to settle into your legs, settle into your hips. Feel any effects of that pose in your back and in your legs. Ready for the other side. So the strap goes over the left foot in the same position. And again, you have a choice with that right leg to either bend it and bring your foot flat or to extend away. So don't forget that both sides of the body will generally have different levels of tightness, and that's fine for you to take a different version on each side. Whatever allows you to reach that 7 out of 10 stretch intensity, where you're able to breathe calm and steady, but you still feel like you're creating new space, new range of movement here. So again, let's tune into the expansion of the breath, thinking about how we use that visualization of inhales creating length and space and openness, and exhales creating a softening and a release and a return to neutral. So as you find that feeling of softness in the body, perhaps that allows you to draw the leg closer towards you, always intending to keep the back of the left leg nice and long. And you can play with the angle of the foot here. You could rotate your ankle out or in slightly. Again, just playing with what sensations you can find, what new range you can find in your own body. Let's release the strap and take a moment to soak up that posture, soak up the effects. Feel your hips, feel your back, and just settle your breath. These pauses between poses, really important for you to assimilate the work you've done. So just remove your strap, we don't need that now for the rest of the postures. And remaining on your back, we're focusing on pelvic tilt now. So find the bony bits on the front of your pelvis. And we start to rock the pelvis up and back, creating an arch in the lower back as you lift up the front, and then pressing the lower back down as you press down with the core. So see if you can link with this with your breath. As you inhale, you create the tip up, and as you exhale, you press back against the mat, activating your deep core. Continuing to rock using the lower spine, and you'll notice that my rib cage is not really moving here, so it's your lower spine, your abdominals, and your pelvic floor that create this rocking in the pelvis and in the lumbar vertebrae. So creating some mobility here. Feel like your pelvic floor draws up as you exhale and spreads away as you inhale. Drawing up and in, and then spreading away. Now we'll take that technique to the next level, still thinking about the pelvic rock, keeping your feet nice and grounded under your knees and then tucking your shoulder blades down. Let's rock from the pelvis, lift up, and this time continue to lift up through the back. So now your glutes squeeze on, and then we roll back down from the upper back first, releasing the spine. So each time we lift, it's initiated with the pelvic rock towards your belly button, the spine curls up, hold, and then we gently place the upper back first, the rib cage, and then the lower back and the hips. Continuing this with your breath, so rolling up on an exhale, and then releasing down, nice and controlled. Our intention is to place each vertebra and to lift each vertebra mindfully rather than just moving up and down. Lengthen the front body at the top of the posture. So by creating power in the back of the hips, by waking up the glutes, firing and squeezing those glutes at the top of the movement, and pressing your knees forwards away from your face, you'll create this length in the front body. And we're aiming to build up to 10 controlled repetitions of this movement, but to begin with, 6 to 8 might feel enough. I'd rather you do less reps but with really good quality. So just be mindful that you're actually feeling the back rolling up and down and feeling the glutes firing at the top. And if you feel like you're just going through the motions, then you know that's time to call it a quits for the day. And you can always build on that next time we practice this sequence. Always ensuring to breathe the same steady breaths that we practiced right at the beginning of today. So full inhales, full exhales, coordinating your breath with your movement. And then after your last repetition, you're going to lower yourself down very carefully as you have been the whole time. And this time we'll just bring the knees up so that they're directly above your hip sockets. You can hold the tops of the knees. I want you to really feel that anchoring of the back of the pelvis. And now taking ourselves back into the figure 4 stretch that we began with today. So after using the muscles in the bum for that bridge pose, you may find slightly different sensations when we return here to stretch. Give yourself a few nice deep breaths on each side. Again, adjusting the technique here to suit your body, whether you're holding around the shin, around the thigh, or just keeping that right foot on the floor. And then we'll switch sides. So ensuring that both feet remain flexed at all times. And ensuring that your shoulders stay soft and released on the mat as much as possible. Your breath remains steady and rhythmic. Let's take one more deep breath here. And then carefully start to release the right foot, bring it to the floor. We're going to come up to seated for the next pose, so find your way up any way that feels comfortable. This is to open up the fronts of the thighs, so you're opening up the quads and the hip flexors here, kneeling onto the heels. So if this is quite tight, you could try sitting up onto your toes, although this is also quite intense on the arches of the feet. Alternatively, we're going to see if we can stay here for a few moments and just lengthen through the fronts of the thighs. So if this is too much, you have got the option of using props. You could use a bolster, or you could use a few blocks just to prop your bum a little bit higher, which means there's less of an angle, less intensity in the fronts of the quads. Let's keep the core turned on wherever you end up sitting, keep the back long. And then just rest your hands somewhere comfortable. It doesn't really matter what's happening with the hands, as long as the spine is neutral and you feel some opening sensation in the quads. If you want to add more for the upper body, you could take your hands behind in a clasped position, so this opens up the chest and the shoulders, drawing the hands away from you, down and back, and feeling that spread through the front of the collarbone area. Trying to use your breath to expand the tight tissue there, so feel each in-breath open up the top of the rib cage, open up the chest. And then you can release the hands on your next exhale, carefully letting go. We're going to come out from this quad stretch now and put the bolster or your blocks behind you if you need them. So we're going to fire into the glutes again and open the front body again. Just like your bridge pose, you're lifting up on an inhale and then coming down on an exhale. So it's a dynamic combination of the opening that we've been doing to create space in the front of the hips, but but also to build some strength in the back of the hips. So trying to create balance in the front and back body. As you lift up, squeeze the bum at the top, open up through the chest. As you come down, allow the hips to come as low as is comfortable for you. The more you can open up the chest and the throat, the more benefit you'll have in the upper body, as well as this work that we're doing to balance through the front and back of the hips. Again, we're going for 10 reps eventually, but you might feel that 6 or 8 is enough for you to start with. You can always take a break and then join back in with these. Every movement is mindful, every movement is fully through the range of motion. So let's complete our last round of this opening, hip opening. And then as you come down, you can move your bolster out the way if you need to, but we're going to come forwards into a child's pose. So it's really nice to take the knees wide here, lengthen either onto the forearms, or if your hips and your back allow, you could come all the way down onto your forehead. Breathing into the lower back, breathing into any tightness that you might have in the inner thighs. And really returning to that feeling of the expanding rib cage. Slow, full breaths in and out. Child's pose is really grounding, restorative posture. So allow yourself to fully feel the body, feel the weight of your shoulders, of your head. And let the heart rate come down after that work we've just been doing in those hip lifts. Remembering that the pauses in our yoga practice are just as important as the poses. So we're slowly going to walk our hands back and come up to kneeling again. You could put your bolster between your knees again if that feels better. And we're just taking half head rolls. So it's just the back semicircle of a neck roll. Just allowing the back and the neck to release. Relieving any tension in the neck and the shoulders. If you find any good stretches on the sides, you could just pause there, lengthen out the sides of the neck by tipping towards the opposite shoulder. And then we're coming to close our practice, so just bring your hands together. Taking these last few moments of our practice to feel everything that we've done in the body, to connect with the breath, connect with any sense of new space or release that you've created. And you can bring the hands to the heart and thank yourself for making time for you today.